Paul Gustafson. Paul has been a guest before. He is the founder of Burlington Hypnosis. He's been doing this since 2001. The website, burlingtonhypnosis.com.
I help people to establish positive life changes with hypnosis. I say that hypnotists are goal-oriented meditation coaches, and we help guide people down into that very deep level, the same place we go to every time we daydream and zone out, but significantly deeper into it. It's the subconscious, habits, patterns, values, and beliefs. Anything that we repeat becomes rooted down there. And with access to that level of thought with hypnosis, we can help people create positive change in their life.
Now, you are not a doctor.
Nope.
You're not a psychologist. You're not a psychiatrist, but you...
I'm an RN.
You're an RN. Worked for 10 years at Mass General and also in hospice. So you are a medical provider. How many other people in Massachusetts or in New England are practicing this type of hypnosis therapy?
Many. Significantly more than you would realize.
Give me a number.
I would say I know firsthand probably 20 colleagues within 10-mile radius.
Within 128, 495? Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And how was it that you came to this type of practice?
Well, I burned out after 8 years of doing hospice. And
Why was that?
Well, it's a tough
Pretty
job.
obvious, yeah. No, I understand it.
Yeah.
But I want people to understand. You were there comforting folks who were passing over.
Yep. And I really got into that one-on-one connection with people and making important connections and helping people transition. So that's kind of what I do now with hypnosis. And after burning out of 8 years of doing that, I realized it was time for a change, and I was flirting with the idea of being self-employed, and holistic modalities were brought up in conversation, and hypnosis was mentioned, something I had experience with when I was in college for my own public speaking problems. You can't shut me up now. And so I explored it, and I studied the data, the significant research done with clinical hypnosis and how it helps people. And that was really the big turning point when I realized just how much research had been done. And in 2001, I got certified. My first client was right after 9/11 was a fear of flying client. And it's been fortunate enough to connect with WBZ early on with Paul Sullivan many years, 10 years ago.
The late, great Paul Sullivan, sure.
Yeah, and then I was fortunate from there to get onto Chronicle, and they did a whole show on hypnosis. So my career in this field got a quick jump start.
Okay, what are the chances if someone comes to you that you can help them?
Well, to answer that, I say if clients truly want to do what they say they want to do in terms of their goals, we enhance motivation and desire with hypnosis. We don't create it. And if they like the idea of relaxing profoundly and don't mind being guided into it, and if they're going to be consistent with the process, and my clients are listening to sessions daily for a couple of months, and if people feel good with that, check off on all of those 3 or 4 categories, then success is kind of unavoidable.
Now, there are people who come to you for various and sundry issues. They have to want it.
Yeah, this motivation and desire, once they have that, and then we start getting into deep trance hypnosis, and they're given unique suggestions to help separate themselves. My philosophy with hypnosis, no matter what they come for, is to first of all separate them from the past. People who have goals, frustrations, all they do is pound away at the problem. The more time and energy and emotion they pump into the problem, the more ominous and large it becomes. So we cut the connection. Release therapy and hypnosis is very powerful. And clients feel a cathartic release. And then once that's done, they're free to start moving forward. And it's called future pace technique, where clients are guided in deep trance hypnosis to imagine their ultimate success. It's so powerful that many of the weight loss clients start to feel lighter before any numbers show differently on the scale.
Powerful muscle in the body, the mind. Paul Gustafson is my guest. Burlington Hypnosis will give you all sorts of information as to how to check in with him. At the same time, if you have a question or if you want to challenge the idea, feel free. We always ask you, make it respectable. When we get back, we'll talk about some of the specialty areas that Paul has worked with clients, and also talk a little bit about the process so you better understand it. In the meantime, I'll tell you, the phone calls will get very busy. So here's the number, 617-254-1030, 888-WBZ-1030. on the program on Nightside now. I'm guessing 4 times, maybe.
I think this is the fourth
time. He had been a guest of the late great Paul Sullivan on this program before, and it's this is legitimate. I mean, I've seen it. I've not been subjected to it, not been involved in it, although I think about it. What happens is that I think about it, then I forget about it. But those of you, some of the specialties that you get involved in, I just want to go through these. You said you have 17 programs, but here's a few of them. And if you don't mind, I'd like to read them off.
Sure.
And we can talk.
Yeah.
Virtual gastric band weight loss. So basically, as opposed to having the surgery, you implant in people's minds the belief that they've had the surgery.
That's right. Yep.
That really works?
That's really effective. I was reluctant to get into it. It's very popular in the hypnosis circles. I was reluctant because I'm so against real-life gastric band surgery. So what do I want to do that for? But then Groupon called me, and they wanted to run it in Boston. They researched it. They knew it was hot. So they reached out to me, and I became the gastric guy.
The gastric guy.
So,
got a nickname from him. Okay,
yeah.
Stress, fear, and phobia. I assume that all of us have stress, fear, and phobia.
Yep.
I don't think there's anyone for me, it's snakes. I don't want to be near a snake. All right. I can, or also wasps, now that I think about it. Mice don't bother me.
Yeah.
Mice, but different things bother different
that's
people.
Right. Yeah.
Tobacco, chew and smoke. There's so much how dangerous that stuff is.
We talk about the power of patterns. Every smoker on the planet knows it'll kill them. There's no one who doesn't know that. It exists as a multi-billion-dollar industry, not because of the addiction qualities, I don't think, of nicotine, but the repetition involved with the habit. Every time they repeat it, every time they smoke, the root of that pattern gets longer and stronger. Consciously, they know things, they know what they want, they know what's healthy, but once it's rooted in the subconscious, that's when it's difficult to change.
Well, let me ask you this, just so I understand this. Don't a lot of smokers say, hey, guess what? My uncle, he smoked 5 packs a day and he lived to 107.
Yeah.
I don't. Is that sort of rationalization, or
yes.
You hear those stories, or even my grandmother, she drank a quart of whiskey every day and 107. She was sober as a judge.
Well, I don't think those are the people who come to my office.
I guess not.
Yeah, no.
I guess not.
No.
Substance abuse, irritable bowel syndrome.
Yep.
I assume irritable bowel syndrome is a physical thing. How can
it's not?
Okay.
No, it's not.
Wrong assumption?
Well, they say that no one knows what causes it. No one knows what cures it. And certainly hypnosis isn't a cure, but it's significant symptom relief. In fact, I got certified in that very early in my career because of the data, the research. Hugely effective for IBS.
So you have to be certified, not just generally, you got to be certified in each of these areas.
Well, I got certified in IBS. It's a very specific approach with hypnosis, sure.
Okay, pain. How do you block out pain?
Well, pain is often associated with stress. The anticipation of pain, waiting for it to happen, that cycle of anticipation, we can cut that with hypnosis, and we can also use endorphins to create euphoria. I use the same approach with substance abuse and the pain clients, and give them a tool, metaphorical tool, that they can use to enhance their flow of endorphins. They can get the substance abuse clients are taught how to get high on endorphins.
For me, if I can get to the gym, if I can physically force myself to go to the gym, after I get out of the gym, you feel great. It's not like you stop beating your head against the wall or anything like that, but you get the 30 minutes or the 40 minutes or whatever it is, and those are endorphins.
You get that right, sure. In fact, a lot of the weight loss clients I'm work with talk about that and how they feel afterwards. And we'll focus on that in the session and make that really positive connection to that feeling. So it helps make it easier.
A couple of more here, and then we're going to go to phone calls, I promise. Sure. Tinnitus. That's the ringing in the ears. That seems to be on every TV station I focus on now, that tinnitus. It's almost like they make you believe you have ringing in the ears when you don't.
Yeah. We can reframe our perspective. We can refocus with hypnosis. And a lot of times when people have problems like tinnitus, what are they doing? They're obsessing over it.
True.
And the more time and energy, like I say, the worse it gets. It's like if you're lying outside in a summer day and your neighbor's cutting the lawn, you're reading a book. You hear the lawnmower going back and forth, then you get absorbed in the book, and you're totally unaware of the lawnmower for a period of time. You close the book, and then all of a sudden you hear the lawnmower again. So that ability to shift our focus happens naturally, and we can actually direct it with hypnosis.
And I assume that focus helps. You said sports performance. So you tell me you're working with golfers?
Sure.
now?
Yep. Yeah, I just got through working with a golfer who had a hitch in his swing. And this is a golfer who's extremely...
doesn't have a hitch in their swing?
Well, this is a kind of an elite golfer, very competitive, played big tournaments, played for money, and golf is his life. And he got an unexpected hitch in his swing, and he's had it for 2 years. And we got into, again, deep trance hypnosis, and we talked before the session about how things used to be back in the day, how he was a very confident golfer. He never worried about anything. So in hypnosis, we go back, timeline hypnosis, we go back in time and connect to that feeling, and we pull it forward to today during the session, and during the session they're guided to push it forward and anticipate it. Again, spending more time focusing on what you want than what you struggle with.
So you're not talking about taking 10 strokes away from the guy. You're just talking about you're going to help him hit the ball better, and hopefully that then lowers the score.
And I'll sit with this particular gentleman. I'm taking notes, and I need to find, especially with golfers, it's a very passionate thing. And I'll make a list of all the particular things he needs to hear in the session. And these are recorded live. We're blending in nice audio music sounds.
Yeah, what you do is you record the sessions, and then you give the person that CD.
Or I'll just email them the MP3.
The MP3,
yep.
okay.
Yeah.
And then they're supposed to take time out and experience those sessions. So give me an example of the normal course here. How many, someone comes to you, how many live sessions are they going to do normally?
He came for 3 sessions, and he got
3 sessions, and he got 3 MP3s.
Right.
So now,
couple months.
If he keeps listening to those sessions, do you then have to go back 6 months from now and do a refresher course?
No, everybody asks that question, and there's research.
It's not like chiropractic.
No. It's not a good business model on my part, because I help people, I empower them to take control on their own. And there's data that says long-term success with short-term repetition. And one was a 6-year study with IBS patients. They got 6 IBS hypnosis sessions, like 250 people in this study. They got 6 sessions every other week, 3-month period of time. In between, they listened to sessions at home every day for 3 months. At the end of 3 months, no more hypnosis. At the end of 6 years, 72% were still symptom-free.
Okay. Please understand what I'm trying to say, that there is a course of treatment here with Paul Gustafson at Burlington Hypnosis. It is not extensive, and it is pleasant. And when it's over 2 or 3 months down the line, the adjustment, again, coming back to chiropractic, the psychological adjustment, I don't know if that's the shift, is complete.
Yeah.
And 2 others, public speaking, fear of flying. So those are things that someone said everyone's afraid of public speaking.
It's a biggie. It used to be a problem I had. And I have had very high-level corporate people come in. I've had physicians come in who are going to lose their job unless they could go. They can't go to rounds.
No bedside manner.
Right.
Yeah. So. All right, we got that solved. 617-254-1030. 888-WBZ 1030. On to phone calls. Keep dialing. We're full right now, but we'll get to you. I promise. If you're persistent, Paul Gustafson, BurlingtonHypnosis.com. Pretty easy. And there's also an email. You can go to info@BurlingtonHypnosis.com. We'll be back on Nightside, 617-254-1030, 888-WBZ 1030, right after this. To those who call early, I know you have to wait a little bit because we're going through the interview for everyone, but calling early gets you on the air. And so no question is a dumb question. As I've often said, the only dumb questions are the questions you're afraid to ask. Chuck in Wakefield. Chuck, welcome. First this hour on Nightside. How are you?
Good, Dan. How are you tonight?
Good. Thanks for your patience. You're on with Paul Gustafson.
No problem. Paul, thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, Chuck.
Question. I deal with the public all day, and I do very well at it, as Dan would know, because I take care of Dan's cars.
Oh, I know Chuck. I know who this is, Chuck.
Fingernails. I have the most horrendous fingernails. Picking them, biting them, and people tell me hypnosis.
Yep.
Will help. I mean, I stopped drinking 20 years ago, cold turkey. I don't smoke. I can't stop biting my nails.
Yep, I do. I see clients I get a program for that.
You do?
Yep, I do. I work with people. I don't get a lot of people in for that. Mostly it's women, but I've gotten a few guys lately. And it's an interesting approach. We take 3 sessions, and like we said earlier, you're listening to sessions at home. Basically, you're going to train your brain to establish a new pattern. In hypnosis, you're guided to imagine how great it would be to have full, round, healthy fingernails. You kind of connect to that imagery in hypnosis, and you repeat the process, and you kind of shift from the struggle to trading up. Basically, that's what I help people do, trade up to what they want. And in hypnosis, it can happen easily.
The other question, Paul, is what type of costs are related to hypnosis?
The 3-session program, all of my 3-session programs go for $450, but you can prepay online and save 15%. The average rate for clinical hypnosis in the greater Boston area ranges anywhere from $150 to $250 per session. I definitely come in under that significantly, actually, and so it's a good experience. I do a lot of teaching and empowering people to own the process.
So the $450 is total, and if you pay ahead of time, you got a 15% break, which means you're going to get something like, if I'm not mistaken, $67 off.
Yeah. It comes out to like $127 a session compared to the big boys.
I'm doing the math here.
Yeah, I can see that. You're good.
Yeah.
Great.
Math is
All right,
okay.
well, listen, I appreciate taking the call.
Helpful.
And I got more customers that slap my hands and yell at me. I think your wife did once or twice, Dan.
I would bet.
Stop biting my nails.
Okay.
Chuck, shoot me an email, info@burlingtonhypnosis.com, and I'll send you info on that program.
I will, and I'm in Wakefield, so I'm not far.
Right around the corner.
Perfect.
All right, Chuck.
Gentlemen, have a good night.
Chuck, good luck. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Dan. Good talking to you.
Good night. 617-254-1030, 888-WBZ 1030. George is in Grafton. Hi, George. How are you tonight?
Pretty good. I have 2 quick questions. First question is, have you or anybody you know used hypnosis to solve the problem with acid reflux, the cure acid reflux? And the second question is,
okay, hold on, George. Wait a sec. Okay, your phone line is not great, so I want you to make sure you're not on a speakerphone, right?
no, I'm not.
Okay. He didn't get the question, so I'm going to ask the first question for you. And as I say, just continue to try to speak right into that mouthpiece. He's asking about if there is a hypnosis program to deal with the problem of acid reflux.
I have never worked with acid reflux before.
Now, acid reflux, George,
it's a medical condition.
Is a medical condition. Is that something that you think would be amenable?
I don't know.
Fair enough.
I don't know. Sorry, George.
Well, because some people say that stress would cause it. I'm not sure about that.
Well, if that's the case, I'd have to look into it. I've just no one's ever asked me that question before.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the second question is there a difference between hypnosis and meditation?
Well, that's a great question. I say that hypnosis is goal-oriented meditation. We go to the same place the meditators go to, the guided imagery people, the progressive relaxation people. When we go there with hypnosis, we're going into that meditative, peaceful inner stillness. But once we get there, we have change to establish. We have unwanted habits to get rid of, and we have new seeds to plant that support the healthy change that people want to establish. So it's the same thing. In fact, I teach all of my clients how to do what I refer to as self-hypnosis, but it's really, I teach them how to meditate, which is why I said at the top of the show that I think hypnotists are like goal-oriented meditation coaches. So very, very same thing. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right, George, appreciate your call.
Nightside. Dan Rea. WBZ News Radio 1030.
I have a question. I think I know the answer. Are there any members of the medical field who have come to you looking for some help?
Yeah, I saw a physician who came from the Brigham for weight loss, and he took my virtual gastric band program. In fact, he was so satisfied he lost over 30 pounds and came on the TV show to talk about it. And if you go to the website and look at the gastric program, you see his video. He's like the poster child for that program.
Now, I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, without getting into any sort of confidential relationship here, that your hypnosis for someone dealing with weight loss has to involve cutting out certain foods. Someone said to me that losing weight is 20% exercise and 80% diet.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a precise...
I think it's right on. You can't outrun bad nutrition. So my focus on I happen to be vegan. I don't eat the meat and the dairy and all of that. I don't preach to my clients, but in all the sessions, all the weight loss sessions, it's all about less sugar, salt, and fat, less meat, less dairy, more plants. And
there goes my diet right there. Yeah. And by the way, we're not in TV, but Paul Gustafson looks like someone who has taken care of himself, and that's a great success story. 617-254-1030, 888-WBZ 1030. Burlington Hypnosis. We'll be able to give you all sorts of information about how to contact if you have a question or a comment. Paul, very quickly, in terms of your clientele, age range from when to when? How young?
Probably from 15 to 70s. The most common is, women in their 50s. 90% of my clients are women, if you can believe that. They're more open-minded. And but of the men who do come in, the results tend to be the same, but there just aren't as many of them.
Now, is there any concern that when people you place them under in the office, or you get them to this point of deep relaxation, but when they leave the office and they go back home or go back to work, it's not dangerous, right?
They are more focused, more grounded, more aware. They're a much better version of themselves when they leave the office compared to when they walk in. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have to carry liability insurance?
I do. Yeah.
As any medical provider would?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
617-254-1030, 888-WBZ 1030. Nicole is in Cambridge. Hi, Nicole. How are you?
Good. How are you?
You're doing just great. You're on with Paul Gustafson. Go right ahead.
Hey, Nicole.
Hi. How are you?
Good.
So I actually had a question. I'm a recovering heroin addict, and I have about 7 months clean now.
Good for you.
And thank you. One of my big things is I heard someone talking earlier about the restless legs.
Yeah.
I still get that so bad, and I know it's a part of the withdrawals and the detoxing and things like that. But I've gone through detox, and I've been clean off everything for 7 months now, and I didn't know if that's something, if that's something that hypnosis helps or.
Well, yeah, as I just got through saying to the other gentleman, it's very effective for restless leg, and hypnosis is really effective for people coming off of. I do a fair amount of work with clients with substance abuse, and I've had clients who come in who have gone through, who are in your situation, who have become clean, have gone through detox, and they still deal with anxieties and stress.
Right. That was my other question.
Yep. Because after you get clean, then you're faced with your emotions as they are, and dealing with the world with a clear head can be overwhelming. And hypnosis is a great way to smooth everything out. I was just saying to Dan during the break, everything is easier with hypnosis. You're more calm, more grounded, more focused, more connected to you. You're more aware of what's important to you. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I know, I do a lot of that with, the meditation, and that's, a big part of, what got me clean was the meditation.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Good.
But a big, it's hard sometimes, like you said, with the anxiety to actually be able to sit and meditate, So
you were taught how to meditate?
Yeah, that was, I went to a rehab program where that was a big, they put a lot of focus on that.
That is actually, that's good to hear. I think it's rare. I don't hear too much of that. Usually when people are talking about meditation, it's with frustration. But
right.
Yeah.
Hey, Nicole, can I ask you a question? I think you've called. I think you called before, and I just want to say thanks for being a Nightside listener. How are you doing? Oh, you're doing obviously a lot better, right?
Oh yeah, a lot better.
And then, how long were you messing around with the heroin?
I'm 26 now, and I had been using heroin in one form or another since I was 19.
So that's a long time.
Yeah.
And it has to have been really tough to kick that habit.
Yeah, it was tough. It was probably the hardest thing I've ever gone through.
What caused you to kick the habit?
I think like I said, I'm pretty young. So I got to the point where, all my friends are working regular jobs and buying houses and having families and kids. And, when you're 26 years old and you're living in your parents' house, stealing change out of their change jar to, get high. It's an eye-opening experience.
Are you working now, Nicole?
I am, yep. I have a full-time job.
Cool.
I it's amazing how things have changed in 7 months. So,
well, Nicole, if again, I have some friends who have gone through exactly what you went through, and I think I've told you this before. I can't tell you how much respect I have for people who have hit rock bottom and have been able to pull themselves back up. And I just want to say congratulations.
Yeah.
oh, thank you so much.
And I, Nicole, I offer, like, I have clients come in or on the phone. We'll do a consultation. We'll talk. I like to explain to people what I do. So if you're curious about it or you want to have a conversation, I'm more than happy to do that with you.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, shoot me an email, info@burlingtonhypnosis.com, and I'll get back to you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
All right, Nicole.
Thanks, Nicole. Call anytime. Okay, appreciate it very much.
All right, thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Have a great night. She sounds bright.
She does.
Bright and focused and
happy
and happy and bouncing back.
Yeah.
Maura in Acton. Maura, how are you tonight?
Hey, good. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Maura.
From one nurse to another. Here we go.
All right.
But I commend you on what you're doing, and I want to say congratulations to that first astrologer.
Yes. Yeah.
I just wanted to say I was listening to all you were saying, and I actually went through a similar program all the way back in 1988. I was like the worst smoker in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Had tried to quit like a zillion times, and I was actually working in a clinic that we referred our patients to this one doctor who was doing this type of hypnosis therapy.
Sure.
And finally, when I made a referral one day, I said, "Hey, what about me?" So I set it up, and I went to him, and we went through a couple of sessions. What he did was he had me write down all the things I hated about smoking, and then write down all the things that I wanted to do and my goals, and things like that.
Sure.
And then during the session, he put it into like a narrative and read it back during the session. And I'll tell you, I was a little bit skeptical, but boy, you know what? That was my last cigarette.
No kidding. Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cold turkey, really.
Oh.
And every time I'd go to have one, all that would come back to me, and I was like, "This is crazy."
Yeah. So how long you been off the smokes?
Since 1988.
Ah, beautiful.
Yeah, best thing I ever did.
Hey, there's life after smoking, isn't there?
Yeah, I never thought there would be. What was I going to do with my hands?
Yep. I was a smoker too. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So it was great. So what you're doing is terrific. You might think about it for the weight now.
Sure. Yeah.
One of the byproducts of getting off the cigarettes, right, Maura?
Oh, absolutely.
And also the metabolism does slow down a little bit on all of us.
Well, and it slows down as you get older, too.
Oh, believe me. You're preaching to the choir. Hey, Maura, thanks so much for the call.
Thank you very much. Okay, good night.
Have a great night. One of my emailers talked about a major league pitcher in the 1960s, Bill Fall. I remember him pretty well. And he actually tried to hypnotize himself. He pitched to the major leagues, 71 more games than either you or I pitched to the major leagues. Not going to the Hall of Fame, but there are people who try to hypnotize themselves.
Sure. Yeah, Tiger Woods used hypnosis.
You can get information at burlingtonhypnosis.com. At this hour of the night, a lot of folks in the Boston medical community have gotten off at 11 o'clock off their shift, and they're heading on home. Paul has a background in the medical field, worked for 10 years as a registered nurse, both at Mass General Hospital and in hospice care. And he has been doing this now for getting close to 15 years, correct? 15 years. And he deals with people who have all sorts of issues, weight loss issues, stress, fear, phobia, substance abuse, tobacco, I assume alcohol, drug abuse, irritable bowel syndrome, pain, tinnitus, sports performance, public speaking, fear of flying. We're going to get to phone calls. I promise. 617-254-1030, 888-WBZ-1030. Someone out there, and I know that there are always going to be the skeptics and the cynics of the world who are going to say, okay, you just listed a whole bunch of things. Fear of flying, public speaking, tinnitus, pain, irritable bowel, substance abuse, tobacco, stress, virtual gastric band weight loss. How can you treat all of those theoretically different sorts of circumstances? What's the commonality of all of them that allows you to have an effective treatment for various people who have various problems?
Well, I put together programs that are specific to those problems. It's not the same program that's thrown to all these different people.
Is there a commonality, though? Meaning, is anxiety? Is it?
No, I mean, the commonality is patterns.
Bad habits.
Bad habits that have been repeated frequently enough that they became rooted in the hard drive. That's the commonality.
Hard drive's the brain.
You've got a subconscious part of the brain. Yeah. Yep, we consciously know things, but we can't establish change so often because unwanted patterns are rooted. It's repetition that enables a musician to play Beethoven without looking at the keys. Mm-hmm. It's a cliche, but it's true. We are creatures of habit. So I'm very much a pattern guy, and I get people, I try to help them kind of get addicted to the euphoric bliss of hypnosis so that it becomes a high priority. And as they do it routinely, they're able to pull the therapeutic messages, the imagery, and the suggestions that support what their goal is. They're able to pull it down into that hard drive. We plant seeds that support change, and every time they press play, listen to the sessions at home, they're repeating the solution, and it becomes rooted in the same fashion that the problem patterns became rooted.
And the thing that I think is important that we talked about in the first hour, and just to touch on it very briefly for those in the audience who were not with us in the first hour, you do not have a client come to you 20 times, 30 times, 100 times. They come 3 sessions.
The weight loss of 4, pain of 4, the stress.
3 or 4.
Yeah, 3 or 4. Yeah.
And then each of those sessions are recorded.
Yeah.
And with an MP3, that person then takes those sessions and plays them for themselves. So they are reliving the experience.
Right. That's what's great about hypnosis. It's 100% portable. Everything that we do, they get.
Let's go. And what about people who don't have computers? What do they get?
The CD.
Fair enough.
That's as old school as I get. Don't ask for a cassette tape, please.
And no vinyl.
No vinyl.
617-254-1030, 888-WBZ-1030. We're going to get to everybody. I promise. Just dial in and let's light it up. You got an 888 number here. Want to give it out?
888-290-3972.
We'll give it out a couple of more times as the evening goes on. Again, burlingtonhypnosis.com. For those of you who are on computers, you can email info@burlingtonhypnosis.com. From prior, and again, this is your 4th time with me. Have you had many folks who have contacted you and said, hey, I heard you on WBZ and has it been good?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Pat in Watertown. Pat, how are you tonight?
Hey, how are you, buddy? Listen, question, 2-parter here, and I'm late to the show, so please forgive me if people have already gone down this road. First of all, phobia and a question.
Yep.
My particular affliction is actually, I think, one of the more common ones that's never talked about. Fear of bridges. Big, scary bridges.
Yep.
And if you're ever, by the way, Dan, driving on the Tobin or one of these bridges, and you see someone driving slowly in the middle lane,
it's you.
That's someone who's got a fear of bridges.
I sit with a lot of phobics. Fear of flying is biggie, and I've had some clients who come in with your phobia, fear of bridges. And what we do with hypnosis is we connect, we do the math. We get into deep trance hypnosis, and you hear suggestions and imagery supporting the thousands and thousands of cars that go over that bridge every day. And we talk about the difference between possibilities and probabilities. Your worst fears could possibly happen. They could occur, but probably not. You're probably, and no one can argue with the logic, you're probably going to be one of those people that gets over the bridge with absolutely no problem. So when you pull this logic in during deep trance hypnosis, there's a wonderful shift that occurs. The cathartic value of the process in general helps us to release, to let go, to relax profoundly. And you pull this information in. If it's your goal to get over the bridge and to release the fear and be done with all this, and you're guided to imagine how great that would feel, and in deep hypnosis, the feelings are amazing. You start to feel as though it's really happening. So you get to rehearse it safely in this deep, relaxed state. And then with the process of repetition, you start to just transition. Right now, all you do is focus on the problem. All you do is anticipate the problem. And the more time and energy and emotion we pump into the problem, the worse it becomes. So it's very important to cut the cord, which is what I do with all of my phobics, to release it, to stop spending so much time with it. And I literally tell clients, I say, they tell me the story, they tell me the problem, and I'll hear it all, and I'll be with them, and then I'll say, is there anything else? Is there anything else you think I need to know? And they'll say no. I say, I don't want to hear any more about it. All of our time together for the 3 sessions is all about moving forward, in creating this scenario of freedom. And it's important to release the junk, and that's what we can do really well.
Can you simultaneously treat, let's say that my friend Pat has a fear of bridges, and let's assume, and I know this is not Pat's fear of public speaking because he's one of my most articulate callers. If somebody comes to you and says, I got two phobias, I got a fear of flying, or a fear of bridges, and a fear of public speaking, can you treat things simultaneously, or do you have to treat one at a time?
They're both irrational fears, and we can certainly do that. Yep.
Well, Dan, how about a fear of going over a bridge in a car with 3 committed liberals from Weston?
We can't deal with that, Pat.
That's pushing the envelope, Pat.
Well, now, I've got a follow-up question, if I can be so bold.
Yep.
Sure.
Let me ask you, what is the traditional reaction from what I'll call the Woody Allen school of therapy, with the traditional therapy community? How do they react on a professional level to hypnosis?
Well, there are some psychologists who do hypnosis. It's not uncommon. Those are the people that don't do a lot of it. They're kind of like dabblers. I've had psychologists in for clients. I've had social workers in for clients who do therapy. So we're much more mainstream than you would realize. There's a lot of therapeutic hypnosis going on out in the communities that's not getting a lot of attention, but thanks to folks like Dan, we're getting the word out. It's been around for a long time. It was accepted by the AMA in 1958. So this is.
I mean, is there a code of ethics?
Well, it's not. Well, the thing is, it's not regulated in the state of Massachusetts like chiropractic would be. So I belong to the National Guild of Hypnotists, and they've got their own code of ethics that mirror other healthcare professions, and we have our CEUs that we take. So even though we're not a regulated modality in the state, we follow the practices as though we were. Sure.
Pat, I got to let you go because I'm way past my break. Great to hear your voice.
Great. God bless you. I'll be the guy driving slowly in the middle lane to your office.
I'll wave as I go by, okay? Thanks very much. Have a great night. Steve is in Hopedale. Hi, Steve. How are you?
Hey, Jim. Good to hear from you again.
Well, good to hear from you. So you go right ahead. You're on with Paul Gustafson. I'm surprised we don't have more lady callers tonight, but the men are holding fort here. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
How you doing, Paul? I heard you the last time that you were on the air, and I would mean to call. I don't think I got through that night. Have you ever had any success with a tinnitus or a tinnitus sufferer?
Yeah. Yep.
You have?
I have.
Okay, because I've been suffering with tinnitus for a long time, about 7 years.
Yeah,
or
me
so,
too.
And I've been doing a lot of research. I actually went on your website. I looked at a lot of different things. There's a lot of different people out there that highly recommend hypnosis for tinnitus or tinnitus.
Tinnitus, sure.
And I thought maybe I could try some self hypnosis at first, but I'm sure there's going to be a big difference between doing self and actually having someone else do it. I'm sure.
Huge difference. Huge difference. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you, Steve. What causes that? Is that a physical ringing in the ears? That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, ringing in the head. Yes. It's mine comes from a long history of accumulative things between being a rock musician, going to concerts, going to loud nightclubs for many years. One of my friends had a power boat. Being on the power boat. I think basically over the years.
Okay, so physically, what happened? I mean, you can tell us that you were subjected to loud noises. What is it physically that occurred in your ears? And then I'm trying to figure out how physically Paul can provide you with some relief. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Okay, well, and so the question would be, you're looking.
I mean, were your eardrum? In other words,
it affects the nerves.
It's a nerve thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right,
okay.
Yep.
So therefore, that gets to anxiety.
Oh, there's definitely a lot of anxiety associated with people with tinnitus.
Is your problem worse in different circumstances, Steve?
Yeah, depending. I mean, to be really honest, I'm very I'm one of these. I'm very forbearing with my problem. I don't have the high pitched kettle noises that most people get with tinnitus. Mine is more subtle, but it's been very consistent lately. But I don't, I seem to handle it very well. Like the anxiety pod. I don't get any anxiety or depression, or I don't get really agitated. I seem to be, one of my friends seems to think I'm kind of above the norm for most people, because most people that have tinnitus, it drives them crazy. They have nothing. They don't. Can't work. Can't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm able to go on with my.
Steve, we're starting to lose the call here. It sounds to me like you're breaking up on us. So thanks very much for calling in.
Yeah, hypnosis is
Have a
really
great night.
I have a program for tinnitus because I had the problem myself, and I started to explore hypnosis for my own relief. And it just helps you to stop paying attention to it. It helps you to focus in other directions, and it minimizes the stress and anxiety and the anticipatory anxiety related to paying attention to it.
Now, we read this list before, and maybe we'll read it again later on all the different things that you're able to treat. The question that I have is there any of these conditions that you have greater success with, or conversely less success with? You've been very honest. When someone called earlier and asked about acid reflux, you said you didn't do anything like that. But can you look at the list that you have and that have
the people who come for stress is the overwhelming. Stress and IBS are probably the overwhelming highest success in the virtual program.
IBS is irritable bowel syndrome.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Stress, I can make that profoundly disappear.
Okay. And what's the toughest thing to work on?
Pain.
Pain.
Yeah. The only types of pain I really would take now, as I've been doing a few years, is peripheral neuropathy, diabetes-related pain in the extremities. It's really good for that. And also pain that tends to be more related to stress and anxiety. But people who have like real arthritis pain and those kind of joint pain, I won't even take them. And if they really want to come, I explain to them the relief might be that during the session you've got this little oasis of relief, but once the session's over, you're probably going to go right back to experiencing it. So it's
more phone calls coming up with Paul Gustafson. BurlingtonHypnosis.com, 617-254-1030, 888-WBC 1030. The men are dominating the lines, ladies, and that's not fair to you. It's not fair to the audience. We had a couple of women callers last hour jump on board. Paul says that 90% of his patients are women because they're more open-minded. They're more open-minded to solving problems. I think he's right on that. My guest is Paul Gustafson, 617-254-1030, 888-WBC 1030. We're coming right back on Nightside. Box offices are done. We got one more segment coming up. Stay with us. Before we get to the final callers of the night, and we will get to all of them, I promise, if they're on the line. So you go through the session, you treat a problem, and you lose weight or you become less anxious or whatever. How long does the application of hypnosis last?
Well, there's plenty of data out there that supports the long-term benefits with short-term repetition. And there's one study done, I've mentioned before, the IBS group. They studied for 6 years, 3 months worth of repetition. Large group, 250 people, I think, in this study. They got 6 sessions for IBS, irritable bowel, and then they listened to a session every day at home during that 3 months. And at the end of 3 months, no more hypnosis at all. And at the end of 6 years, 72% were still symptom-free. So that and other studies like that validate the long-term benefit, and that's...
So do people ever come back after 3 or 4 years and say, hey, I need to get a little update here?
Like I said before, it's not a good business model on my part, but I don't get a lot of follow-up clients. On occasion I do. It's rare.
Okay, let's get back to the calls. Let's go to John is in Manchester. I'm not sure if it's Manchester, New Hampshire, or Massachusetts. John, how are you?
How's it going?
Which Manchester are we calling from?
I'm in New Hampshire right now. I'm from Tampa. I'm visiting up here. I was just listening to the show.
Well, thanks very much. You can listen to us in Tampa, too, by the way. We're pretty easy over the airways, and you also can check in through the Internet. What brings you to New Hampshire? Are you up on vacation?
Yeah, actually, I'm up here looking at a place to buy right now, and I'll be flying back in about 3 days.
And last question, I always love to know what do you do in Tampa?
I actually do excavation work.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you got Paul Gustafson. Go right ahead.
Yeah, no, Paul, my question was, it's actually kind of changed since I've been listening to you. And what it is I see that you were talking about as you're doing these sessions of hypnosis, it's repetition of, like you're using your thought process really to, like you said, kind of guide them away from the problem at hand, really?
Yep.
That's what you're saying?
That's certainly a big part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought that was really interesting, because like I have a family member, like part of my question was that I was a recovering addict, and I thought that once they went to rehab and everything, and they learned about all these things, it really was just it just reminded me of that, So I was wondering if maybe hypnosis is actually be like a faster form of, maybe could help some other people, like that wouldn't need to go 30 days away to reset their thinking, because that's basically what it does, seems like to me. And then,
you're right. Yeah, you got it down there, John. Good assessment on your part. I think that hypnosis is a fast track to just about any change. Once you get into that meditative state and you pull in the values that support what you want, and you're able to kind of feel like you've already succeeded before it happens. And then you spend routine time hanging out in this arena of exciting, empowering change. And the subconscious doesn't know the difference between what you're thinking about and what's real. So with all this repetition, the subconscious thinks that the new guy is already out and about. So it starts to make changes that support that. The weight loss clients I see start to feel lighter before the scale shows any change because of what goes on. Right? So you're right.
I understand that.
Yeah, you got it, John.
That's perfect. Yeah. And that's why I thought, and then, like I said, my question evolved as I was listening to you about that. And I just think that, so like you're saying, now would that be like one session, like you said, or do you do like a couple?
I do, yeah. For the substance clients, I see them usually for 4 sessions, and we get into a lot of endorphin work, euphoria, and learning how to create this euphoria themselves to create deep, profound relaxation. And when they have that ability to feel good, that's power. It's power of thought. And after they've gone through what they've gone through, then to have a tool that creates this type of bliss, it's huge.
Oh, that's and that's what hit me when I was listening to you say that is that there's a lot of people, it's a taboo subject, but there's a lot of people that are affected by this drug addiction thing in their families, whether it's a friend or a cousin or any single person. But like you're saying, this, honestly, if that's basically what it does, I don't see why more people aren't involved with trying to use this in this area.
There should be. I always say there should be a line 10 miles long of people waiting to get into my office. It's really.
I really don't understand that.
He does have, John, a lot of clients. Trust me on that. Okay. Hey, John, I got to run. Do me a favor, become a regular listener down in Tampa. We have a lot of listeners in Florida, believe it or not.
Yeah, I definitely will. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you much. Have a great night. Right. Good night. Let me go to Brad in Wilmington. Brad in Wilmington, you are next on Nightside.
Hi, thanks for taking the call, Dan.
Go right ahead. You're on Paul Gustafson. Get a little tight on time. Go right ahead.
I'm not myself these days. I put on an excessive amount of weight, and I've tried everything under the sun. Support systems, group classes, therapy, you name it, I've tried it, I've done it, and nothing is helping me, and I got to take off over 200 pounds.
Yeah.
And I'm at my wit's end. It's affecting me to get work. I'm running out of money. I don't have. I have type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
I'm just in a real mess. And
how
I got here, I can't even tell you how.
Yeah. It really catches up with you physically after a while.
I'm being treated at Leahy. I have medication I take to help sort out thoughts during the day. You're probably familiar with the drug. It begins with a P.
I think the fact that you had the courage to call, Brad, is a really good sign.
Well, I'm embarrassed, but I'm also I'm really at my wit's end.
Brad,
I don't know what to do.
Brad, contact me, will you please? I'd like to have a conversation with you.
Okay.
Yeah. Just shoot me an email, info@burlingtonhypnosis.com.
I'm on your website now. Actually.
Yeah. Do that, and I'll talk to you, and we can go into specifics about your situation, and I can at least do a consultation with you and give you some information to see if it's a good fit for you, and I can explain in more detail. All right?
Thank you, Paul.
All right, Brad.
Well, Brad, I hope that this program leads to some real help. I really mean that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For the guts to call. We're going to go next. Let's go to, we're just talking to Bob and Lowell. Bob, you're next on Nightside. Go right ahead.
Yes, hi. How you doing? I have a degree in psychology, and I've used yoga and for my own personal use. And I was just wondering how you learned hypnosis.
I took a course. The International Association of Counselors and Therapists is one governing body of hypnosis. The National Guild of Hypnotists is another one. And I took a certification course for basic hypnosis back in 2001. And I connected with an instructor right in Wakefield. And I went right from there into advanced clinical hypnosis, where I was taught how to use hypnosis to help people with medical conditions. And after that, I opened up practice, and I started to reach out. And it took a while, really. I mean, certainly the certification gives you the right to start learning, is the way I phrased it, because it took a long time for me to really get into it and truly understand it. And now it's 13 years, and it's a wonderful, wonderful tool, and it's a true joy to sit with people and help them to very quickly establish oftentimes profound changes with how they view situations or view the world, or certainly how they were able to overcome problems that once seemed insurmountable. So it's the most powerful reframe tool on the planet. We're able to rapidly shift how we focus on things, and we can shift in more positive ways.
Bob, appreciate the call. Appreciate the question. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a great night. We are flat out of time. We got Dean Johnson coming in on the other side of the midnight news. So the callers who are on the line, you should have called earlier. Sorry. Paul, how can folks get in touch with you?
They can call me 888-290-3972 or info@burlingtonhypnosis.com.
Paul, appreciate it. Really
My
good,
pleasure.
Really good couple hours. We'll have you back.
They go by quick,
That is
don't
for
they?
sure. They certainly do. It's like sand in the hourglass. Dean Johnson's coming up right after midnight. Dean, I'll be listening on the way home. Okay. Rob Brooks, as always, thanks very much. Another great week on Nightside.